A highly anticipated showdown between Max Holloway and Ilia Topuria has concluded, and the MMA community had already predicted the outcome. Meanwhile, Alexander Volkanovski shared that he had already made his pick for the Ilia Topuria versus Max Holloway fight, selecting Holloway despite Holloway being the underdog.
What is he paying? $2.80. What's $1.43? So similar to the last odds. So I've got the two underdogs here. I'm going with Max. And I've already, people have already asked me this a while ago, so everyone knows sort of my take on this, as in who I'm picking.
Moreover, Alexander Volkanovski discussed the dynamics of the Ilia Topuria versus Max Holloway fight. He acknowledged Topuria's power, which played a role in his own loss to him, and suggested that for Topuria to beat Holloway, he would need to land a significant shot. However, Volkanovski emphasized Holloway's toughness and chin, which made it difficult for anyone to dominate him over 5 rounds. He highlighted Holloway's excellent takedown defense and well-rounded skills, and expressed surprise that Holloway was the underdog. Volkanovski predicted that if the fight reached the later rounds, Holloway's stamina and durability would likely wear down Topuria, giving Holloway a chance to secure a finish. Volkanovski added, "I'm going to go with Max Holloway. I think decision would be the best bet, or just Max to win, because he's the underdog. If you really wanted to go all out, I think him getting a finish would be paying big. I can see it later on, wearing on it, and maybe just volume and the ref just stopping Max KO $6. Round 4 is $31. Yeah, 5 is 34. Decision, what's decision? $5.70. I think that's going to be your best bet." In addition, Arnold Allen mentioned that before the upcoming fight between Max Holloway and Ilia Topuria, he had leaned toward Topuria winning, but hoped for Holloway to win.
I'm leaning for Ilia. I am leaning for Ilia, but obviously, for obvious reasons, I hope Max wins.
Arnold Allen reflected on Ilia Topuria's skills, noting that while some people initially viewed Topuria as just a knockout artist, he had a more diverse skill set, including high fight IQ, wrestling, and jiu-jitsu. Allen believed Topuria was the real deal, and not simply a copycat or Conor McGregor wannabe, despite his cocky attitude. He also discussed how fighters often make excuses after losing, such as blaming injuries, and criticized this behavior, emphasizing that injuries shouldn't be mentioned post-fight. He contrasted this with his own experience of fighting with a broken hand, but choosing not to reveal it at the time. Allen then expressed admiration for Max Holloway's resilience, saying he wasn't surprised that Holloway remained at the top despite setbacks, as Holloway's durability and mental toughness had kept him competitive in the division. Allen added, "The guy Max Holloway is a different breed. You're going to knock him out? He's washed up. What are you people talking about? He's not built like that." Similarly, UFC featherweight champion Ilia Topuria made a bold statement that placed fan favorite Max Holloway on the verge of being on the wrong side of history. Topuria defended his title for the first time in the main event of UFC 308 in Abu Dhabi, where he and Holloway clashed in the octagon for the first time. "I felt very excited, to be honest," Topuria had expressed during an episode of UFC 308 Embedded. "No one had ever knocked him out, and I was excited to be the first. If he stayed in the middle of the octagon, I would have knocked him out in the first 10 seconds, and fans would have witnessed the fastest knockout in UFC history. I told them, just don't blink in the first 10 seconds because it's going to be the most thrilling in UFC and MMA history." Furthermore, Sean Strickland recalls that Ilia Topuria didn't like him in the past, but emphasizes his consistent support for Max Holloway. He praises Max as a legend who has delivered many great fights, and mentions that in the past, whenever Max fought, he always chose Max to win. Strickland's admiration and loyalty to Holloway have been evident throughout his career.
Wait, the other guy doesn't like me? I think he just doesn't like me. I don't know, man. I like Max. He's a man, dude. You know, he's a legend, dude. He's gave us so many great fights that, every time Max fights, I just pick Max.
Tom Aspinall had discussed Ilia Topuria's approach to his featherweight title defense at UFC 308, suggesting that Topuria might rely on his grappling skills during the fight. Aspinall acknowledged the challenge of taking down Max Holloway, explaining, "It is really, but the threat's there, and sometimes that can affect your defensive boxing a little bit because you're thinking about the takedowns. With your hands low, you're getting ready for a shot all the time, and punches are coming over the top." Aspinall confidently added, "I think I'm going to go out there and say Ilia Topuria can put him down. He's got the power, and he mixes it up so well between the disciplines. I wouldn't be surprised if Max Holloway got dropped in this fight," suggesting that Topuria could potentially finish Holloway for the first time in his professional MMA career. Additionally, Michael Bisping reflected on Max Holloway's past, explaining how his losses had played a crucial role in shaping him into the fighter he became. Bisping argued that while Ilia Topuria dismissed Holloway's losses, those defeats had been pivotal in Holloway's growth, allowing him to learn, evolve, and develop into a more intelligent and strategic fighter. These experiences had helped Holloway mature and improve over time.
12 on his record altogether, 26 wins, 7 losses. But those losses are absolutely key here. Topuria scoffs at the notion that Max Holloway has lost fights, but it's those losses that mold you and make you better and make you greater. But he's been a part of the UFC now for 12 years when he made his UFC debut against Dustin Poirier. Talk about jumping in at the deep end and swimming with sharks straight away. The point I'm making is that all of those losses have molded Max Holloway to the fighter that he is today.
Michael Bisping discussed Max Holloway's previous experience with moving up to 155 lbs lightweight and then cutting back down to 145 lbs featherweight. Bisping mentioned that when Holloway fought at 155 pounds, particularly against Justin Gaethje, he had looked stronger, more muscular, and well adapted to the higher weight class. However, when Holloway returned to 145 pounds, it required him to lose some of that added muscle, which left him looking a little skinny or gaunt. Bisping expressed concern that these past weight cuts may have affected Holloway's ability to absorb punches, as shedding muscle mass and cutting weight can diminish a fighter's durability. This was a significant issue because Holloway had faced powerful opponents, and Bisping suggested that the weight cut could have left him more vulnerable to strikes, especially when up against knockout artists like Ilia Topuria. Moreover, Joe Rogan discussed how Max Holloway had demonstrated increased power when fighting at lightweight 155 pounds compared to featherweight 145 pounds. He speculated on whether Holloway could retain that power when cutting back down to 145 pounds for future fights, noting the potential challenges of weight cut.
That gas tank is a weapon. It's a weapon. It's a weapon, man. The volume in the gas tank, it's a weapon. And that power's legit too. And Max seems to be even more powerful at 55 than he is at 45.
That's what I thought.
So, but my question is, does he maintain that when he gets down to 45? Like, how hard's that cut? Especially
Well,
when he went up
he's
to
got plenty of
55.
time to kind of
Right.
time it out.
Right,
So
but-
I think it's going to help him.
I hope so. I would not want to see him drained at all if he's
Yeah.
fighting Ilia.
Because Ilia will expose you.
Joe Rogan highlighted the dangers Topuria presented, particularly his striking ability, referring to his hands. Rogan had pointed out that Topuria's striking was powerful and highly precise, with no wasted movements in his technique. He had expressed concern over how Holloway would handle such a dangerous opponent, emphasizing that Topuria's skill set could expose his opponent's weaknesses. Rogan had also referenced a video where Topuria and his brother were seen hitting mitts, displaying world-class boxing skills. He had been particularly impressed by Topuria's ability to hit like a world champion boxer, which made him a serious threat to Holloway. Rogan added, Ilia had hands. His hands were some of the most impressive hands in the sport. Similarly, Dustin Poirier, once regarded as one of the UFC's most feared knockout artists, had expressed doubts about Ilia Topuria's ability to succeed where he himself had fallen, short-stopping Max Holloway during their bout at UFC 308. Topuria, who entered the fight with an undefeated 15-0 record in MMA and 7-0 in the UFC, had been confident he would be the first to knock out Holloway, a veteran with a 26-7 record in MMA and 22-7 in the UFC. Their much-anticipated clash, which headlined UFC 308 at Etihad Arena on Yas Island, Abu Dhabi, was seen as Topuria's opportunity to do what no other fighter had managed, knock Holloway out. Poirier, however, remained skeptical of this possibility, given Holloway's reputation for durability, having fought numerous battles without being knocked out. Having previously faced Holloway in a memorable bout at UFC 236 in 2019, where Poirier managed to stagger him but not finish him, Poirier found it hard to believe that Topuria could achieve what so many before him had failed to do. Reflecting on the fight during an interview on the Bonfire podcast, Poirier had said, "Taking out Max with a single punch seemed almost impossible. It's always a possibility, but I didn't see it happening." Poirier, who had taken on the role of analyst for UFC 308 alongside Brendan Fitzgerald, Chael Sonnen, and Din Thomas, had leaned toward Holloway walking away with the belt. Despite Topuria's confidence, Poirier knew that if Topuria had managed to pull off a victory, it would have sent a strong message about his future prospects. Poirier added, "This fight was a major test for Topuria. If he had beaten Max or even matched him in terms of striking volume, it would have said a lot about where Ilia was headed in his career." Though Poirier had acknowledged Topuria's skill, his belief in Holloway's experience and his record in championship fights had made him reluctant to bet against the seasoned fighter. "I couldn't pick against Max. While Topuria had a chance, Max's experience and his ability to thrive in big fights made him tough to go against." In addition, Cody Garbrandt praised Max Holloway's knockout of Justin Gaethje, but noted Max relied too heavily on boxing and didn't mix in other techniques, unlike Ilia, who showed versatility with wrestling, grappling, and kicks.
I don't think Max, I love Max to death. I don't think he mixes it enough for mixed martial arts. You know, he's boxing heavy, doesn't throw too many kicks. You look at the Volkanovski fights.
Yeah.
he didn't really mix it together. You know what I mean? The MMA together.
Yeah.
You know, I thought those fights were super close. He won some of them. You know, they gave him the bulk. But with Ilia, dude, he wrestles, he grapples, you know, he does it all, he kicks.
Cody Garbrandt compared Max Holloway's and Ilia's fighting styles, noting Max's long reach, tough chin, and Hawaiian spirit. He believed that Max's experience, especially in 5-round wars, might give him an edge in the later rounds, saying championship rounds are going to really, I think, pay off for maybe Max. However, he also highlighted Ilia's high pace and well-rounded skills, explaining that Ilia started fast and incorporated a mix of wrestling, grappling, and kicks. Ultimately, Cody emphasized that the outcome would depend on which fighter came in healthier and more prepared. We've heard some amazing insights from the pros about the showdown between Max Holloway and Ilia Topuria. What do you think? Did the fight live up to the hype? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe for more expert reactions and fight analysis. Hit that notification bell so you never miss out on any updates.